Welcome to video 35. In our last video, we set up the PayPal Sandbox account, so I'm going to take that off our to-do list. The last big item on our list now is to build out the PayPal checkout. It's great that we have a functional shopping cart, but if our visitors can't actually purchase the products that they want, they can't send us money, our shopping cart isn't very useful. To that end though, before we jump into the code, I want to talk a little bit about the technology and terminology behind the next few videos. I want to make sure we're both on the same page regarding a couple terms and give you some resources that you might find useful as you follow along. To give you a basic overview of just the broad picture of what we're going to be doing, the idea here is we have a functional shopping cart and we're going to be providing information in that shopping cart to PayPal. We're going to be providing PayPal with a list of the different products that are in the cart, as well as the totals, the total of the cost of all the products, and shipping and tax information. And PayPal is going to handle the payment side of things, and then redirect the user back to the application once they've paid. In order to accomplish this, we'll be using PayPal's REST API. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's simply a way that two web applications can communicate with one another. PayPal provides this interface to allow outside web applications to get, set, and delete data stored within PayPal in a safe and secure manner. An API determines how an outside web application connects to the interface, what information can be accessed, and what actions can be taken. It also sets specific expectations regarding what information is needed when performing certain actions, what information will be returned, and how that information will be formatted. The REST portion of PayPal's REST API stands for Representational State Transfer. That explains what sort of API it is. In this case, it has specific URLs that are accessed in order to set or retrieve information, and the HTTP method used, get, post, put, or delete, determines the action to be taken. For a quick example of this, let's take a look at the documentation. So I'm at developer.paypal.com, and you can get to this page by clicking on the REST API reference link. The table of contents gives a very broad overview of the sort of functionality that the API provides. So it provides functionality related to payments, sale transactions, refunds, authorizations, storing and retrieving credit card information, invoicing, etc. To demonstrate that idea regarding URLs, let's scroll down a little bit here. Let's take a look at this section here talking about Vault, which is dealing with storing and retrieving credit card information. So you'll note that we're going to be accessing a specific URL. That URL determines what sort of action needs to be taken. So for example, in this specific case, we would be accessing credit card information and would be providing a credit card ID that would be used to identify a certain credit card. And then determined based on the HTTP method used, so if we're posting, deleting, or getting, the API understands whether we're asking to retrieve information or potentially post information, so we're providing information that PayPal needs to save, or alternately deleting information. In addition to the REST API, we're also going to be using PayPal's SDK, their software development kit. This is a package of free code and sample code that PayPal provides us that makes it a lot easier for us to work with the REST API. In general, you'll be only seeing me work with the SDK. The SDK abstracts a lot of the API work, so we don't even have to worry about that. The SDK will automatically handle providing the proper information to PayPal. So you'll get to see that in the next couple videos. Finally, last thing I wanted to point out was the resources.txt file. Check out the end of this file here, mostly the PayPal section. I have a variety of links that will be useful and that we'll be using in the next couple videos. So to go over each of them super briefly, The first one is a link to Composer at getcomposer.org. This is a dependency manager for PHP. Basically, it's a command line tool that helps you download the libraries that your application needs. And this is something that PayPal uses, and I want to go over it at least briefly, because one way or another, if you use it on this project or even if you use it on others, it seems to be a popular tool that a lot of people are using. Then we have two links. A link to the PayPal REST API SDK section with some details about running the sample code that it provides. We have a link to a sample app, a pizza app that PayPal provides that might be a good reference. We won't actually be using this at all, but I found it useful to go back in and look at the code and see how PayPal handles some basic stuff. And then the final two things were that link to the REST API reference, and this is a little bit of basically a playground that you can use. You can set things to PHP, and you can step through the process of working with the API so you have an understanding of the process, the sort of steps that go into sending payment to PayPal. So hopefully these are useful links. Join me in the next video. I'll be talking more about Composer and getting the SDK and the sample code set up.